What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever? I'll start. In my final 2 weeks of drama school, I had a one-on-one meeting with my principal, and he said to me, and I quote, "We just can't figure you out, Scott. You're either an old young person or a young old person. You're either the ugly side of handsome or the handsome side of ugly. Basically, you're just normal with no discernible qualities, and you need to get used to the fact that you won't be working." And that has been on replay every day for 6.5 years. Really worth the student debt. What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So my dad taught me the importance of confidence. He said if you have 2 cups of water and you're scared about spilling, you'll end up pouring slowly, and eventually water will start tracking along the cup and you'll end up spilling anyways. But if you approached it with more confidence and you just went for it, you end up spilling less. And that's how you should live life.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Not only stuck with me forever, but changed my life too. So at the beginning of 2020, I was cast on a TV show for musicians. And I've been trying to make it in the music industry for over 10 years now, so this was a pretty big deal for me. It was the moment I had been praying and working and wishing for my entire life, pretty much. So they cast me on it, fly me to LA, put me up in a hotel room while we wait for filming to begin. And 8 days into said hotel room, they knock on my door and tell me, unfortunately, we're not gonna be able to bring you on this season. Understanding the emotional trauma and devastation, they bring a psychologist into my room to make sure I'm not gonna hurt myself, then put me on a flight right back to Nashville. I was uncontrollably sobbing on the plane, and the man next to me turned to me and says, out of nowhere, "I know it might not seem like it right now, but my greatest triumphs in life came just after my most devastating heartbreaks, as long as I kept moving forward." I wanted to give up so bad, but I thought about what he said, and instead I joined TikTok. 2 days later, I went viral. I'll never need a TV show because I have all of you.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So when I started my PhD program, I was feeling pretty frustrated. I had just called off a wedding with a guy I'd been with for 7 years, since I was 16, because I had realized that it just wasn't gonna work. I was, yes, in a PhD program, but I was living with my parents and feeling pretty insecure about that. And I was watching all my other friends get married, have babies, get advances in their career, and I was frustrated. So I sat down and I talked with my dad about it one night. He said, "Baby, you are a slingshot. You're more ambitious than most people, so you're willing to take the setback if it means that it will propel you towards your goal. So right now you're pulling back on that slingshot, and from where you are, it looks like everyone is racing forward. But one day you're gonna let go and you're gonna go flying." And he was right. So now I try to live my life not being afraid of moving backward. I know eventually I'll get where I'm going.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
A bird sitting on a branch is never afraid of the branch breaking because the belief is not in the strength of the branch but the strength in her own wings. A teacher told me that, and I will forever remember it, because every situation now I look at it positively, because all it takes is the strength inside of myself to pull myself up out of it, whether it's allowing myself to get help or getting my shit together.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
I had a professor at the University of Washington that, like, on one of our first lectures, he said, he sat down and he was like, you know that feeling when someone is telling a story and you're like, oh my gosh, I have the perfect story, or I have a question, or I have something to add to this, and you're just kind of sitting on the edge of your seat waiting to come in with your story. He was like, that moment is the moment that you need to take a deep breath and sit back, make eye contact with the person, and really try and absorb what they're saying. Give them the spotlight, take a step back, and enjoy the conversation. If you're feeling like you have to get a word in, you're taking away from that person's side of the conversation. That's always stuck with me.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So my ex-boyfriend and I had just recently broke up, and I was asking him what happened, and he looked at me and he said, "You're just a lot of work." And yeah, I think about that a lot. Just a lot of work.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Not too long ago, I woke up at 2 a.m. with this weird feeling in the pit of my stomach. So much so that I called my sister, my grandmother, and my father to make sure everybody was okay. My sister answered, and she said she was fine. And then I called my dad and had a really wonderful conversation. He told me how much he loved me and how proud he was of me and that he was fine. I couldn't kick this strange feeling, and I sat and looked out my window for 3 more hours before I could get up and make coffee. That morning around 10 a.m. I got a call. It was my grandmother to say that my father was in bad shape and he was at the hospital and I needed to come down and say goodbye. I had to say goodbye to him that day. But that conversation we had at 2 in the morning I'll never forget. Miss you, Dad.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
Leave a little cheese out if you're looking for a rat. If you fall for the trap, let the motherfucker snap. He a real motherfucker if you bring it right back. Loyalty you can't buy, that's a motherfucking fact.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
So, quick background. I'm an American from Mexican descent, and my husband is Filipino and Caucasian, and we have 3 beautiful children that were all born with very different features. So when I was signing them into their doctor's appointment one day, I noticed the tech kept looking at me, and then he'd look at them, and then look at me again. And he leans in and goes, "Hey, I hope you don't take offense, but I was wondering, are your kids multiracial?" And I was like, "Yeah, they are." And he turns a picture of his daughter to me, and she did not look like him at all. She looked like him, but she didn't look like him. So I think he sympathized. So my daughter pops up and says, "Yeah, we're mutts." And he goes, "Oh, no. You are no mutt. You are a beautiful hybrid of a human. And your guys' race represents peace, not war." One of the most beautiful, profound things anybody has ever said to me or my children. And I never thought about it that way until he said it.
What has someone said to you that will stick with you forever?
I'm a brunette naturally, and so I dye my hair blonde. And during COVID, I wasn't going out as much, so I was like really struggling to justify spending so much money dyeing my hair blonde. And I asked a few of my friends, like, should I go back brunette? Like, should I stay blonde? Like, what do you think? And one of my guy friends said to me, a hot brunette is hotter than a hot blonde, but an average blonde is hotter than an average brunette. And then followed that comment with, "You should stay blonde." And that really resonated with me.